What's happening, guys? Welcome back to Rue's Reviews, and today we are chatting about Enigma by Christian Grace. So, let's run that title sequence. So thank you very much again for joining me on this channel. If you don't know me, hello, my name is Rue. I do weird things for a living, including this review channel. As I said, we are chatting about Enigma by Christian Grace. So what is Enigma? Enigma is a system that will allow you to read the mind of your spectator and tell them any object in the universe that they are thinking of. Nothing is said out loud, nothing is written down, it all resides in their head and you get it right 100% of the time. So most of you are probably aware about the controversy this all kicked off with the 38 pages on the Magic Cafe, which I haven't read all of. I haven't got the time to read 38 pages, but I can see where this effect has split the community straight down the middle. Now, I'd seen, as I'm sure many of you guys have seen, those reviews that people were posting on Facebook, and it got me interested, but as a working magician, I'm always reserved. I'm always reserved when I'm buying the latest thing or the newest thing. I liked the idea, and then the trailer dropped. And with all trailers, obviously it's there to sell a product, but you saw amazing performances and amazing reactions, and then you saw I think Christian put up 3 full performances of this, and I was just blown away, right? I was just blown away. From what I saw, I thought, you know what, whatever this is, it's gonna blow my mind and I need it in my life, right? Which is, I guess, what most people thought. And after seeing the trailer and the performances, as a mentalist myself, I sort of saw what was going on and what needed to happen and the process that needed to happen for this effect to work. And I thought, maybe I won't buy it. It does seem a little procedural heavy. Maybe I'll leave it. But then, about a week ago, I bumped into Christian at a convention, IBM convention, British Ring in Eastbourne, and he was very kind enough to go to the pub afterwards with me, and he sat there and blew my mind repeatedly with this effect. It wasn't anything that I thought it was. The trailers showed exactly what it was, but I had a different preconception of what it was in my mind. I thought it was a lot more procedural than it actually was. And as such, I bought it that evening and was able to perform it that same evening to my girlfriend, because what Christian did in the pub was show me exactly how it worked. And full disclosure, this is an app. As most of you guys are probably aware by now, this is another one for the app playlist, but this is actually an app, but it doesn't feel like an app. And this is what I love. I didn't know it was an app beforehand, but when Christian was performing it to me, when the app came into play, I was so far gone thinking that he already knew what I was thinking of, that when the app came into play, it was a non-event. It didn't feel like he needed that app to make this happen. And in a lot of cases, he doesn't. I'll get onto that in a little bit, but in a lot of cases, he doesn't need the app. But this app really is a work of art. It's genius. But before I go on, let me just address that I know why this has split the community straight down the middle. It's at a price point of 150, which might seem a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, as a working magician, for an app that does what this does, I think Christian could have charged a lot more. That's just me personally. I think he could have done, but I know why he's keeping it at 150. This app, this kind of magic, isn't really targeted towards hobbyists that just want a quick fix on how to get a name or how to get a location or whatever they want. This isn't for them. This is for performers that want to hone a performance, create an experience for the spectators that will leave them dumbfounded every single time. And you can just walk away with their minds blown. The procedure that's needed for this effect to work can be done in about 30 seconds to a minute, really, if you're pushing it. It doesn't need to be as long as Christian does it in the trailers. Christian brings out this amazing performance and he creates this unique experience. But to gain the actual information you need for this to work, you only need about a minute tops. It really doesn't take that long. I performed this effect 5 times on the trot at the Sussex Magic Circle the other night, and 3 of those people that I showed it to went ahead and bought it straight away because they said that the procedure wasn't what they thought it was and it was a lot more streamlined. For this effect to work, you will need to remember a 4-digit number, which will be different on every performance most of the time. So that's it, just 4 digits. If you can remember a PIN code, you can do this effect. These 4 digits pertain to information that you will glean from your spectator to input into the app in the guise of searching for what they're thinking of on your phone. If any of you out there are familiar with progressive anagrams or PAs, I use many PAs in my work, but this app does all the work for you. It's almost like a reverse version of a progressive anagram. And the beauty of this thing is that the app doesn't come into play until the last minute. All the legwork is done. They already think you know what that word is. All you're doing is now searching for an image to bring it up and show it to them. There are 5 inputs within the app. One is for the passcode screen, one is a binary input, which is amazing, and this can be done via Zoom as well. In fact, there are a couple of methods which can be done via Zoom. There's a voice input as well. There is also a fixed performance input, which if you know you have a way of performing this and you're going to do that every time, you can click on this and have it ready to go at a moment's notice. And there is also another input using your voice, so that if you don't want to go through the procedure of finding their word, you can do so. This works out amazing for people that maybe are dyslexic and can't spell words or might have trouble spelling words. But if you have this method, you can go straight into it and not have to worry and have an amazing killer reveal. The actual system that Christian has created here with this app is mind-blowing. It is a new system. It is completely standalone. It doesn't feel like anything that I've ever seen in the past, or probably will do in the future. This is like the Swiss Army knife for modern mentalists. If you don't want your spectator to say what they're thinking of, write it down, everything is just in their head, this is the moment that you leave them with. They will go away saying, I didn't say anything, he just read my mind. That's exactly what happened. And as a performer, when I first saw Christian doing it, as I was being blown away by his performance, in my head I was just thinking, oh, I can combine this with something else. What if I combined it with a name reveal? What if I combined it with an object that somebody was handing them, or something like that, something that's really personal to them? The options are endless. Let me reiterate, this can be literally anything in the known universe. So what happens once you've applied the information into the app to glean your words? Well, there is an amazing filtering system, a filtering system that will filter it down to just one word, the word that the spectators are thinking of. And this system, there are many ways to go about this. In fact, this is what's brilliant. On the fly, on the cuff, there are multiple performing situations you could be in. So if you're in a bar, you can do one way. If you're in a club or stood up or surrounded, you can do another way. There are many, many different ways that will help you narrow down this filtering system to get to the word that you need to, and that is your spectator's chosen word. And here's the thing, if everything goes wrong, if you misread the information you're given, or even if you don't want to read any information, there is something built into this app called fallback mode, which I believe I'm allowed to talk about because it has been mentioned before. And what fallback mode does is it gives you an out every single time. In fact, Christian is going to actually release fallback mode as a separate app at some point, probably at a lower price point, but it is built into Enigma right now, and it is genius. The fact that I know that at the end of that performance, whatever happens, I'm guaranteed to know the word that they are thinking of. There are some instances, in fact, nearly 80% of the time, where I can take my phone out, do all the work that I need to with my phone in the guise of searching for whatever it is they're thinking of, and I can put my phone away. I don't need to reveal it. I can do it. I can go, oh, I'm going to go to Google, search for what you're thinking of, and think, oh, you know what, the internet's not great here. I'll tell you what, just concentrate. I believe you. You're not going to change your mind, are you? You're going to stick with what you're thinking of. And I already know what they're thinking of. It's happened multiple times. And when that hit happens, it truly feels like real magic. It shocks me every time. And that excitement gets relayed to my spectators, that excitement that I'm feeling when this hits, and I know, and I'm getting genuinely excited because as you're gaining this information from your spectators, you don't know. You don't know what this word is until right at the last minute. And that's the beauty of this app, is how everything is integrated, how it doesn't feel like an app. And this actually brings me back once again to the procedural part of this effect. It doesn't feel like a procedure. It should never feel like a procedure because the spectators are always engaging with what's going on. There are multiple ways of doing this. In the trailers, you might see Christian doing the finger touching like this. He'll have hands against here, which is amazing, and I love that. It isn't one that I use personally. What I actually use is one that he calls touching the air. So this is a way where the spectators will touch the air, and this is one that he showed me, and maybe that's why I love this the most, because it was one that really blew my mind. But I love the fact that the spectator could be on the other side of the room and seeing this word around them, and by touching the air, I'm able to know exactly the information that I need to make this effect work. As you perform this app, as this app gets bigger and larger and more people get involved with it, more words are added. And these get added every day for different regions in different parts of the world. Some words come up more often than others in different parts of the world. So this app is ever evolving, ever changing. At launch, this app had 5 languages. So English, French, German, Portuguese, maybe, I forget, maybe all of them, but if you're worried or want to know more about your language, go and check it out on the Enigma website. I'll put that down here in the description. But The thing is, new languages are being added every day. This isn't a stagnant thing. Everything is being added and collated in these apps. And yes, I say apps because it is for iPhone and Android. I can see you all sweating there and going, is it just for iPhone? No, it's for iPhone and Android. Tegu over in Indonesia and Shamir Salim, some of you may remember Shamir from the other apps that I've reviewed from him, but Shamir is doing the work on the Android, Tegu is doing all the iPhone work, and it is stunning. These guys, there's a Facebook group, right? There's a Facebook group for everybody that's bought this app, and there's a chat for bugs, and there's a chat for general chat for Enigma. And as with all things, there are some little bugs that crop up here and there, but all of these bugs are fixed. They're just done. Within a couple of days of me buying it, there was already an update push that fixed a couple of bugs that were on the system already. That alone, having that tech support is just extremely comforting for me. This is tech. So we know there can be issues cropping up as updates happen, as iOS changes, everything changes. But I know that so long as that support is there, we're covered, and that support is there. And the customer service, Christian is bang on it. If I send him a message, he messages me straight back and he's able to help. If not, I go straight to Tegu and Tegu helps with everything via the iPhone. It is absolutely incredible. The app itself not only does all the hard work for you, but it also trains you. And this is something that blew my mind when Christian showed it to me. He showed this straight on one-on-one. It absolutely blew my mind. What happens is after time, using this app, you start to pick up what the app knows. You start to know the information within that app in your own brain. So around 40% of the time, Christian doesn't even need to bring the phone out because he knows with those 4 numbers what the possibilities could be. He knows that. The app has trained him to do that. And this is what you sort of see in the trailers, and this is what threw people a little bit because everything you see in the full performances and on the trailer is exactly what goes down. There's no pre-show, there's no editing. Exactly what you see is exactly what happens. And in some cases, Christian doesn't actually need that app to do the performance. It all comes from his mind. But just to go back and reiterate, if you have a spectator that is dyslexic and can't spell long words or can't really visualize those words, then this app does that work for you because of the fallback mode, because of other things that are built in place within the app. You can do this. Some of you might remember Adam from my previous video. I haven't seen him in 15 years. He's a magician, but he's also severely dyslexic. So when Christian offered to show him this effect, he did it and just blew him away because it's just mind-blowing. I was watching it happening and then I was like, this was before it happened to me. I was watching it happen and I could just see like Slim getting physically like emotional because it was just something that he couldn't comprehend because he couldn't really spell those words himself. He couldn't spell that, but somehow Christian knew. The fact that you can perform this over Zoom is just ridiculous. Like, I saw Craig Petty's interview with Christian as well, and he shows Craig Petty how he does it over Zoom. And that's just one way. The way that Christian does it over Zoom is just one way. There's another performance to Susie Dent, who's on a TV show called Countdown here in the UK. And this method used the binary method, which is just one of the most beautiful things ever implemented into an app ever. This can be done on Zoom or in person. There are multiple ways and multiple performances on how you can use the binary method, but it is so clean and clever. My mind still frazzles thinking about it. I've performed it numerous times. My favourite way to use this is the passcode because I feel like I'm sort of used to it and it helps me. I think the passcode is the way, like for me, if I want to build up more knowledge and learn more about this app, the passcode method helps me most with that. But every time I perform the binary method, it just blows my mind every single time. In fact, this whole app blows my mind. Every time I perform it, every time I chat about it, every time I show it to somebody, it blows my mind every single time. And look, full disclosure, I'm not a Christian Grace fanboy. The first time I met Christian was last week, right? I actually own no other Christian Grace products. I don't have Level 1 or Switch 1. I don't have any of those things. I don't have Scribe. Like, I know Christian is an amazing performer. I know that. We have a good mutual friend by way of Andy Frost, and I know he's an amazing performer. He does what he does, but I've just never bought anything of his. I know people that use Level 1 and use it to great effect. A lot of workers in the country still use Level 1. It's an amazing, amazing thing. But I've never bought anything. I've just never have. This is the first thing I've bought, and I've spent my own money to buy it after Christian showed it to me. Some people don't need smoke blowing up their arse. I think I need to waft a bit of smoke there, Christian. There's a bit of smoke going there, mate, because you've blown it out of the park, and I know why this caused the controversy. And I also know what the Magic community is like at large. If you're not going to put the work into this app, do not buy it. If you think that anything is too procedural after what I've said I might have put a performance up, I might not have done, but if what I've said is too procedural and you think it's going to be too tricky, don't buy it. Just don't buy it. Don't give this effect the injustice of doing it badly, because it doesn't deserve that. But I will say this, it doesn't take 10, 15, 20 minutes to perform. I do most of my performances, as I say, in about 3 or 4 minutes. It's really not that long, if not less than that. If you're a mentalist, you like going out performing, you want to be able to do this kind of mind reading, and you have the ability to think on your feet and work with your own chops and work with a spectator, you will not be disappointed with this app. This is the best app that I've bought probably since Wikitest.
Shut the f up!
Like, I love Wikitest, but the phone is in play. I don't care about that, but the fact that this isn't, the fact that this feels so, well, it is, but it doesn't feel like it is. This has to be the best app that I've purchased since Wikitest, since my first foray into apps. And that's saying something. That's really saying something. The fact that Christian was able to sit down with me and share what Enigma was and break it down to the point that I didn't even need to watch the tutorial. I could go home that night, buy it and perform it to my girlfriend. She thought of chair, and a chair it was, straight away. I didn't think it would work. I thought it would be a lot harder than what Christian was showing. All you need to do with this app is act. It gives you that freedom. It gives you that freedom as a performer to be able to go out and do what you need to do to create those moments of mind-blowing mentalism. The tutorials, and yes, there are more than one, are about 3 hours long. You learn the main method and how to get in and out and how to set your phone up and everything. There's also a whole other tutorial for the binary method alone, which is brilliant. And then there's full performances. So there's like a couple of full performances with full walkthroughs. So if he's actually performing to somebody, I believe it's the camera guy, and he's performing to him, and he's walking you through all the steps that's needed in this performance and routine. And the last video is just some tips and tricks that just help you along your way, along with some crediting as well. What really sold me on all of this was when Christian was showing it to me in person, was the amount of passion he had for this. Right, this is his baby. This is what he wants to be like his legacy, you know, and it really deserves to be. Putting the work into this was something that I know would be completely worth it. And the fact that within a week, I'm performing it confidently, like multiple times this week, I've performed it confidently and hit every single time. I am really happy that this is in my arsenal. Like, I know I could do this on stage, I could do it on Parlour, I could do it close up, I could do it in the pub, I could do it for some friends. It's always ready at a moment's notice, and I'm absolutely enthralled by it. There's really nothing more for me to say about this. I could go on about this for ages. And in fact, if anybody has any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll answer them the best I can. There's already been a couple of videos on Enigma already, some of which have gone into much further detail than I have. These are just my thoughts. But if you are a mentalist or a magician and you want to have probably the coolest, most unique piece of mind reading kit on your phone that you can use anywhere, anytime, always ready to go, then pick up Enigma. The link is below. Christian, well done. I hope this is your legacy. I know you'll come out with more stuff, but this is absolutely brilliant. That's it from me, guys. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell for more to come, and I'll see you all very soon. Ciao.